So I'm interested to hear what you thought about these first 6 goals. Because when I look at these 6 goals, they are things that I have experienced. They are goals that affect me personally as an individual. I know what it's like to not have money or to lack something, to be impoverished. I know what it's like to be hungry. I know what it's like for having to not feel well, or to have an education or to have ambitions for an education. Gender equality, I'm a woman, so I feel that almost every day. And clean water and sanitation is something that I really appreciate. So these first 6 goals are something that relate to me on an individual basis. And I have thought about it, and I think most people relate to these first 6 goals on a personal level. So now let's go on to goal number 7. Goal number 7 is affordable and clean energy. Energy is something that we use every day to charge our phones, to have lights, to run industry. And we need to make it affordable and clean. We need to come off of the old oil-based economy and create energy sources that are not polluting, but instead are clean and affordable for everyone. And that includes wind, solar, hydro, and whatever else we can think of to create a clean and reliable, affordable source of energy. Number 8 is decent work and economic growth. This is very important because we're talking about work, but over 1/8 of the people who live in extreme poverty have jobs. So it's not just about having work, it's about having quality work. It's about having safety in your workplace. It's about not being exploited. It's about having work that is meaningful and that is not degrading the environment or degrading people. So we want decent work, fair wages, fair opportunities, so that we can create economic growth. But economic growth, what does that mean? Because you can have economic growth, but maybe the economic growth is just affecting a very small percentage of the population. So we want a more broad-based economic growth, economic growth that benefits all people everywhere, so that everyone has the economic opportunities to live a full and complete life. Number 9 is very exciting because it is talking about industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Think of all the innovations that have come up in the last 10 years and think about how they have changed your life. One that comes to mind is maybe the mobile phone. 15 years ago, there was no such thing as a smartphone. And now, it's everywhere. There was no mobile money. But because of innovation and technology, we have been able to do amazing things. It has completely changed industries. So what we need to do is build the infrastructure that serves everyone, so that there are transportation routes, that there are internet available to even the poorest and the most remote places. And we need to continue to be innovative, to come up with new technologies so that we can make our industries better for everyone, creating better jobs and to reduce the impacts that industry has on the environment. So here we are going to focus on science, technology, and research. Number 9 is very exciting. But then we come to number 10. Number 10 is reduced inequalities. And across the world, there are inequalities between genders, there are inequalities between the rich and the poor, and between the ultra-rich and the most impoverished. There's inequalities between different tribes, there's inequalities between different religious groups, ageism, people benefiting, giving more attention to one group over another. So here we want to see what those inequalities are, and we want to remedy them. We want to reduce them so that everybody has an opportunity to live a complete and full life to the best of their ambitions. Number 11, sustainable cities and communities. 15 years ago, the world was mostly rural. Now, about half of the world lives in the cities and half of the world lives in rural areas. But in the next 15 to 25 years, almost 80% of the world is going to move to the city. So the urbanization of the world is happening. And for that to happen, we need to plan for it. We need to have goals that these cities are created in a way that they create communities, that there is sufficient housing. We don't want anyone living in a slum. That there is safety, that people are safe in these cities, and that there's green spaces like parks, and that there's adequate transportation so that you don't have huge gridlock where nobody gets to go anywhere and tons of pollution. So creating sustainable cities and communities is one of the sustainable development goals, because we know that it is a challenge that is not quite a super challenge now, but it is going to be the future's challenge. So number 11 is sustainable cities and communities. Number 12 is responsible consumption and production. Have you ever noticed that you take out the garbage and the garbage has some place to go? Well, in some places, the garbage has no place to go. Here in Sweden, the garbage gets recycled and it gets turned into biodiesel, but that is a rarity around the world. And the Swedes produce 3 times to 10 times more waste than someone, say, living in Kenya. So what we need to do is we need to start thinking about responsible consumption. Do we really need all the things that we have or that we buy? Think of all the things you just throw away. Do we need that? Well, if you're going to throw it away, you might want to think about how it is produced. Is it produced in a sustainable way? Because maybe you have it and it becomes garbage after you're finished with it after a couple of years, but you're maybe not thinking about the production of that item that you have just thrown away, because there was also a waste cycle in the production of it and an environmental impact of the production of that item. So we need to start thinking about responsible consumption and production. We want things to be used in a way that they do not end up in landfills. We want to reduce our consumption, we want to reuse as much as possible, and we want to recycle. So take a look at these 6 goals, number 7 through 12, and I want you to see, what is your role? What is the role that you play in these 6 goals? I want you to take 5 minutes, and I want you to get up maybe and shake out your legs, shake it up so that you can get some blood in your hands, but then I want you to write down what your thoughts on these 6 goals are. I will see you back in 5 minutes.